Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to talk to you about some of the books that I am personally reading for Black History Month. I did actually record this video before but I had microphone issues, so I'm doing it again. If you don't know, I am hosting a giveaway for some books celebrating Black History Month in the UK. All the details about that giveaway are in my previous video. I will link it up in the cards and I will also link it down below. And yeah, go ahead, you can go and win yourself a free book from a Black British author. So I am still in a bit of a little reading rut, or like I'm just taking reading really slowly. I think at this point of me filming this, I have read in this point in the year the same amount of books that I read in total last year. So I've read a lot of books because it's like 97 books. And yeah, I've just been taking my time with some of the books that I'm reading. So I don't have a really ambitious TBR for this month, and 2 of these books I have already started. Well, technically 3 of them I have already started, so I feel like I will be able to complete them during this month. The first I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a cheat because it's an anthology that contains a range of authors. They're not just from the UK. They're also from Americas, Africa, Europe, everywhere basically, okay? But obviously it does contain some authors that would identify as British. So I think off the top of my head I know like Yesterday Daily Ward is in here, Leslie Loco is in here. I honestly can't remember anyone else, but there are so many authors, like you can't see this, but all of this is just small print with loads of little names. So I have actually been, well, I started this at the beginning of the year, I would say, and I've been dipping in and out of it. It's one of those books though that you can just easily forget. Like I'll remember it and then I'll go and read some and then I'll completely forget about it because I'll put it down somewhere and then yeah, I just never pick it up. So I'm going to make a real effort this month to continue reading it. I'm not going to specifically just search for Black British authors. I think I would just naturally come across them. The way that this book is ordered by decade, so decades, yeah, 1900s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, and you just get a range of Black women authors like this. I don't think I explained this book properly. So this is obviously New Daughters of Africa by Margaret Busby, and it contains short stories or poems or essays from women of African descent, and it's a very, very beautiful collection. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got this at the beginning of the year or last year December or something like that. So that's one of the things I'm going to try and make a priority this month. So onto books that I've actually picked out specifically for this month, and the first one is Poor by Caleb Femi. So I went out and specifically picked this up for Black History Month. I first heard about this actually through the marketing campaign for it. There's a thing called Book Marketing Society where they get publishers, well, marketers who work in publishing houses to talk about some of the campaigns that they've run. And when I heard about this, I was like, this sounds amazing. I actually didn't know it was going to be straight poetry. I thought it'd be some essays as well and stuff like that. But this is essentially a poetry collection and it's got photos in it. So it's a bit of a mixed media collection essentially, but really the only other media in here is photos. Caleb Femi is writing about his estate in North Peckham, and he's just writing about daily life. He's writing about life on the estate, how the police see them, what the parties are like that they go to, the sort of grief that they're exposed to, just what life is like for them on a day-to-day basis. I am on page, oh, I don't know, I've decided not to tab over, dog ear the pages. But I think I'm on like page 50 and this is stunning. Do you know what this really reminds me of? And it's a poetry collection I haven't spoken about yet on my channel, and I probably will do towards the end of the year. But it's a collection of poems by Linton Kwesi Johnson, and Linton Kwesi Johnson writes a lot about what life was like in London. I want to say like maybe it's like the 1980s or something, and through his poems I learned so much about like the different things that were happening in London at that time in terms of police brutality. And there's a poem in here that Caleb has written that just instantly transported me to some of Linton's work. I was just like, this reminds me of it so much. It reminds me so much about, because he writes about the Grenfell fire in here. I think at one point he actually writes about, there were some riots in London, like when I say like early 2000s or something. Yeah, I think to do with Mark Duggan, and it said they showed Mark Duggan dead and it was a picture of me even though I wasn't dead. Obviously you see the reference there of him being a black man. That's what it feels like to be black here, like you're dead and alive at the same time. There's a bit here where he says, a correspondent in the riot zone asked an old man about a situation, and he said, this time they demanded payment for death, and so they shook the city down for change. Unsatisfied, she asked a woman but couldn't make out the words through her accent. Demanded. Demanded what? Demanded. Which is obviously the way the woman speaks, and she's saying the man is dead. And it's just that play on words, which is so beautiful. This is what I love about poetry, but also really reminded me of that Linton Kwesi poem that I read, because he does a lot of that as well. I can't remember where Linton Kwesi is from, but a lot of it is written in the dialect that he, like, from the country that he's from. And yeah, so I could just see so many parallels between that. But this so far is just such a stunning collection. Like, I can't believe how much I love it. I don't know how many parts it's split into, but you'll come across like different media, different pictures in here. So I guess it isn't just, yeah, it's mixed media, it's not just pictures. So you come across artwork, and then there's like pictures of the Peckham estate. And one poem he's done is about the estate that was built and how basically it's like self-encompassed. So there's like a laundry shop, there's newsagents and stuff like that you could walk the whole ground and like not touch the ground for like miles. Yeah, it says, "This is the North Peckham estate, a place where spring was told not by flowers but by fresh air Jordans, where stop and searches happened weekly, and where it was possible to walk for miles without ever touching the ground. In Paul, Khaled Femi has written an ode to a troubled yet enchanted world and to the boys raised in it." So yeah, this is one that I'm currently reading and I'm absolutely in love with. Like, I foresee this being a 4 or 5 star read for me. Another book that I'm reading is Bitch Money by Joanna Trainer. This book, I feel like, oh god, was published in 2000, so it's 21 years old. Yeah, first published in Great Britain in 2000, paperback 2001. I came across this, like, obviously last year when I was doing my dissertation for, like, around Black British authors. I knew who I wanted to write about, really, but I was just like, let me do some more investigation about some other authors that might catch my eye. So from then on, like, some of her work has really caught my eye, except when I go back and look at her backlist titles, so she has 2 other titles. I'm quite surprised that I picked up Bitch Money and not one of her other 2 titles, because I feel like they actually appeal to me a bit more than this one does. But who knows. So this book is actually set in Manchester, which is quite nice. I don't know if this is where Joanna Trainer grew up or anything like that. I think she grew up near there. There was something about being adopted or being fostered. I am about 50 pages into this book and I am kind of finding it a little bit difficult, but I'll read you what it says on the back, what the book is about. It says, "The Costa del Sol, 1984, sun, sand, sea and sex. Working in Spain, the summer away from the cosseted atmosphere of home and the dull prospect of university, Louise's life was as exciting as it ever had been. She was turning heads and making money, good money. Away from the criminal underworld of Manchester, Jonathan believed that things had finally taken an upward turn, but his past always did have a nasty habit of catching up with him, and Jonathan's past was particularly nasty. Scams, drugs, prostitution, and then there was the TV heist he botched, which had forced him to flee to Spain in the first place. But now the mob knew where he was and they were out to get him. Jonathan needed a lot of money, bitch money." So this book opens up with Jonathan, and so far, because I'm only 50 pages in, I have only met the character Jonathan, and it's about this TV heist. It's basically the setup to this TV heist, and it's him talking to the guy who sort of like brought him in on it, and then he goes home and you sort of see what his home life is like. So you get to see like what his mum, his sister and his dad is like, and it's just a real situation of poverty. There's not a lot there, and it's working jobs that you don't really like, and like drinking in pubs, like drinking all your money away and stuff like that. It's not a nice situation. Like, it feels very bleak, it feels very dark, like it makes you very sad reading it, in all honesty. And then yeah, you get a sense of Jonathan himself, who again I feel like is quite bleak, he's quite lost, he doesn't really know what he's doing. And the bit that I finished is when he's just botched up the TV heist and they're just like crap. He botches it up because I think he actually runs into the back of someone's car, and obviously that's going to spark off, like he literally runs the car off the road. That's going to spark an incident, which then involves the police, and you've already just stolen a bunch of TVs. So that's where we're at now. The issue that I'm actually finding with the book is I find it hard to know what is actually happening, and perhaps it's like the use of language sometimes. Like at one point they refer to like the lorry he's driving as a cab, but then it's a lorry, and I'm just like, so what is he driving now? And yeah, it's a bit slow to get through. Like, it feels like you're wading through mud a little bit to get through this book. What I do like is how the characters speak. It's very like they speak like they would in the place that they're brought up in, so it's quite like authentic in that sense. I'm excited to see where this will go, but yeah, I'm hoping once it gets to Spain, perhaps the book would just feel a lot lighter and brighter. Even though there are terrible things happening, I just feel like because it's set in dark, dreary UK, perhaps it just feels a bit dull, but we'll see. The final book that I'm going to read for Black History Month is this, and this is actually a memoir. So this was sent to me by the author, and this is Finding the Music Inside, Your Inner Algorithm to a More Meaningful Life by Reynolds. Victor Reynolds is an MC. He used to be in a band. He was a founding member of the pioneering hip-hop trio, the London Rhyme Syndicate. This is my journey of discovery and becoming. We all have meaning and purpose. When that purpose is hidden, it must be found. It reveals our why and sets us on the road to fulfillment. It's not only big dreams that have the power to move souls, it's the small ones too. I love to MC, to be on stage and to entertain a crowd. Today I want to set you in motion where you'll be motivated to find your music inside. So yeah, like I said, the author sent this to me and I just thought it sounded really cool. I don't know much about that scene, so I thought it would be really good to find out more about it, and actually from the perspective of someone who has lived it and is sharing their wisdom and inspiration. And I also think it is also a bit of a self-help motivation books and not just strictly memoir as well. So this is another book that I'm going to read it towards the end of the month. But that is it. It's a very short TBR for Black History Month. Like I said, I'm just not going to be too ambitious with it. I'm just going to get myself through these, and I'm confident that, like, you know, I'll be able to read these for this month. It's funny though, because I don't do like TBRs really. Like I think the last one I did was like earlier this year, and in general I don't really do TBRs, but because I've been in a bit of a reading rut, there hasn't been any expectation on myself to actually read or finish anything. So now I'm like, oh god, I've got to finish this by the end of the month, which is completely doable. It's just like I've not put any constraints on myself like that in a while. But yeah, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and like I said, if you're interested in winning a book by a Black British author, do check out my previous video. But yeah, until then, happy reading. I'll see you in another one. Bye.